Hello international friends, now comes the English translation of our previous video, and we will go to the whole reading of the Magliano text, and of course you can see it here. There is only one difference. We have seen that because we've read a piece of it in a previous video. There's a small difference. It's not mlachthe here, but it's mlathke with a theta and a C, and you can see the previous video for that. We have seen it, and it's here, of course, MLA theta CE, and that's the only difference. But we cannot change the transcription because it's not our transcription, so we cannot alter the works of other people. Just for reference, you can see Mauro Cristofani, Dizionario della Civiltà Etrusca and Giunti Gruppo Editoriale, Firenze, Florence, 1999. And of course, Fandiamea, the lead plaque of Magliano, in Interpretando l'Antico, scritti di archeologia offerti a Maria Bonghi Giovino, in Milan, just 2013, and then in Rix Etruskische Texte, Editio Minor, volume 1 and 2, in Tübingen, 1991. That's a very standard bibliography if you want to consider the text, the inscription of Magliano better. Now we're closing in the end of our discussions about the Pelasgian / Etruscan language. So we have also prepared, except from the Magliano text, we have also prepared 3 inscriptions, other inscriptions, and something that might be useful to you, it's like more, how to say, of summing up the basic rules, okay? And this is pretty much the whole of it. There are some other details that we will come up to later, even in a publication, but for the time we have the characteristics of Pelasgian or Etruscan, if you like, scripture are monophthongization, which means that diphthonges like epsilon iota eventually become simple iota. Cetacism, like reading C as a chi, which happens in the Aegean Islands, in Italy, in many of these places. The final N usually cannot be seen. Okay, dative forms usually end in iota. Some words might be just the first syllable, they might be abbreviated. Then labial, dental and glottal sounds can change themselves depending on their environment. The aspiration form H is to be read as something like a he, but still not a strong one. V, the letter V, if it's in the middle of vowels, it is a long O, like omega, or like a nu. The same goes when V is in front of consonants or in the middle of one vowel and ro. Sometimes it's an agglutinative dialect, which means it sticks things together. This is why you can sometimes see that they write 2 words as a single one and they omit letters, doing something like a sankhi. Now Now that's the basic phonetic rules. These are some other rules, let's say orthographic rules. A word which is missing the final vowel can accept in the position of the missing vowel an epsilon. But if the next word does not, this happens only if the next word does not begin from a vowel. If the next word starts from a vowel, then this vowel is reduplicated and the one which is produced vowel, is put in the end of the previous word while the initial remains stable. We will see what that means right in the reading. The same phenomenon goes when the next word needs a vowel. Then the final vowel of the previous word is reduplicated. If there is no vowel to reduplicate, then an epsilon again is placed. Something resembling to 8, like here as you see, is an U, and sometimes epsilon, and sometimes again omega. That's an alternation that you see also in the Aegean scripts, of course. Now, although the Aegean scripts are syllabic, yet you can see that this script, which is alphabetic, has probably evolved from that syllabic system. It was not imported because it presents some basic elements that are common. Now, iota, we mean, can also be omicron iota and epsilon iota. That's the other side of monophthongization. So that reverse means that when you see iota, you have to consider whether you should read omicron iota or epsilon iota. Occasionally, some vowels in the middle of other vowels can be omitted, and research to be continued. All right. So now before we come to the Magliano inscription, the whole thing, we've seen that in previous videos, we'll focus on that. We have to see the words, okay? And kaftas is, you see here, kautas, is cow, comes from the verb cow, I burn, and thaume. Thaume, which means I observe. The one who observes, the fortune teller, who observes fire and tells you the oracle. Avile, you see, is avile here, and you have an epsilon just because of the rules we said before, right? Because you don't have it. Avile, Avelios in Crete was another form for Helios, and this is not our thesis, that's the thesis of Hesychius. Then again, menome, mania, or menas, if you like, the menads, right? That's a subjunctive in aorist form, which is mano. That's a verb for being in ecstasis or in a state of mania. And this is mania, that's the guardian of the underworld. Another deity that we see, except from this mania, is Nesli. Nesli is again a composite word coming from neo. Neo, it has many meanings. Here it means I sail. And li, which is the third person singular of lao, I desire. So it was probably a deity that represented the desire to become a sailor, the desire to sail the seas. This Hesni is of course an imperative form of heo. I spill, I pour, I do libations, I pour libations, all right? Ni, again, like that, is an imperative form of neo, That's where nios comes from, and it usually means a piece of land which is cultivated, but which is uncultivated, I'm sorry, but also it means what is under, anyways, what is under a woman's belly. That's according to Hoffman's lexicon and Stamatakos' lexicon, and other lexicons, of course. But you can base yourself on these two to explore this ni, which might be a little bit enigmatic. Zathei is Samothrace. That's what Homer tells us. And in the end, you're missing Myrina from Lemnos, because that's where it all happens. All the cabeirian mysteries, they happen there, in this mother city. So this mother city is not in the text, but there are other toponyms. Okay. Let's start right away with the Magliano text. Kauthas του θείου avil, you put an epsilon here because you don't have anything. Se, again, 80 as a. Okay. So, Kauthas του θείου, το θείο, and you have it with a iota here, just the reverse of monophthongization, as we say when you read avile se 80 as. What does this mean? Kauthas, as we said, is the fortune teller of fire. Το θείο avile, for the divine, let's say, son. And you sit, ezo comes from the verb ezome, I sit, 80. Put 80 people to sit, let's say. Sit and watch the fire, of course, right? Kim themi, we've seen that phrase again. Don't sleep, or in other ways, remain ready. Remain in readiness, okay? So don't lose time, let's say that. Kas thea althi, burn the divine Althea. We've seen that, we've seen in previous videos. Lachthe is here. Heon, you see this V, it becomes an omega here, because you cannot read it like heaven. Avili, Nesli, Mani, Mirinasi, Fali, Zathei. What's that about? Lachthe, draw lots or throw lots, okay? Heon, while pouring libations, to whom? Those are dative forms at the temple of the sun. For Nesli, let's say the goddess of sails. For Mani, the goddess of the underworld. For Myrina, which is in Asia, in the Asian Myrina, we've seen that city again. Fali Zathei, and of, and you see here the agglutinative form Falizathi, and that's for the bride, let's say Zathei. Where was it? Zathei, which is Samothrace. We've seen that in the previous videos, so we'll go a little bit faster. I seras in ekstasi, that's abbreviated form, you see it, ex mene. So, prophet of the earth, fortune teller of the earth, in ecstasies remain in ecstasies, remain in a trance. Μη λάχθε μαρνίντο θεήτιο. Don't throw lots marninto during this battle. Theitio. I dedicate this battle to the gods. All right. Kimthemi. Again, like here. Kimthemi, which is don't lose time, remain alert, let's say. Kastia althi lachthe. After burning the holy Althea, lachthe, draw lots. Here you have marisl and then just an M. You can't read that. So as we say, you go back to this rule and you find, since you cannot suppose any other vowel, you put an epsilon. So maris li, meni, tla, avris. Again, li, as we saw, is from the one who is wanted. The wanted maris, the desirable maris, this woman. Meni, shall remain. Tla, that's another form for unhappy, even in classical Greek. Avris, and avris is the soft one. The soft and desired maris is going to be unhappy with you. That's an oracle about a marriage now. Kia lathe kimthe, as you see. Kia lathe kimthe, you see, kia lathi kimthe. And that is, kia is from the verb kio, I go. Lathi is the sleep. Going to sleep, that's a holy kind of sleeping. In Greek it's called engymesis, and it was a religious practice in many Greek cults, even the cult of Asclepius, the god of health. So it was some kind of divination, not just any kind of sleep. And kimthe, and sleep. Avile sche, you see how it's written here, eka, and now you have the alternation of kappa with gamma, ega. And it's a pity because here we cannot we don't have the disc of Festus, because the word ega is written almost like that there. It's with a K, eka, just to represent the long alpha iota, but here you don't have the alpha iota, you have monophthongization, and you have a C instead of a K, which of course is read as a K again. So it's essentially the same type. Avile, sun god, sche, have, ega, a goat. So I give you a goat. And now the second divination is kifin to theo thoki iko. And you see it's written chepen to theo thuchi ichu. And kifin is the male bee, which is considered, ever since the ancient Greek years in Greek language, is considered a useless animal. So, to theo, to the holy. Thoki, sits, house. A male bee is sitting at the holy house, which is, let's say that he is describing the person who came to ask for a divination. Tevre theore, you see here how it turns into omega, and you see here how just because you don't have a coherent, a readable chain of consonants, you need that epsilon. Theore, hes, ni. So Theoros is the one who sees. It's a kind of divinator again. Hes, from Heo, poor libations. Ni is again, as we say, the uncultivated land, poor libations in the uncultivated land, but that's a pan, that's a word, a play with words, a game of words, and it probably means the uncultivated underbelly, let's say, of a woman. She was probably sterile. Why do we say that? Muli veni, the female mule is coming. Ethi zigi. Ethi, that's nothing new. She put herself, zigi, under the axle of a let's say, a ploughing instrument, and zygos was a double axle for two animals, which sometimes, even up to date, the word for the spouse is syzygos, the one who is with you under the axle. So that female sterile woman, the mule, because mules cannot reproduce, she has put her with you under the axle, which is she wants to marry you. Ama are. Ama is the crop, or better, the harvest. Are, pick up the harvest. That is divination about which used to happen ever since the Minoan years. We have Minoan texts that have such answers to such questions about fertility, and how could it be different. That's normal. And he's giving a divination. He's criticizing the person asking it, who is a man. And of course, he will not tell him the truth just so straight, because he also needs a donation. But with this strange oracle, which reminds Delphian or Chinese oracles, like the female mule is coming and put herself under the axle, with this oracle, he's telling him in a more latent way, in a more subterranean way, what he considers to be the truth. Now we come finally to this last text. You see the numbering of the texts here, and very clear. Klenar chi aknanasa. Klenare or klenare is the, like klinon asti we say, the glorious, let's say, city. Is O glorious one. Kia, go, the verb that we saw before. Agna, chia, you have an alpha here because that's where you have to reduplicate it. Agna, to the pure one, the English name Agnes comes from this. Agna nasa, you have an alpha again here because you have to reduplicate it. Anasa is the queen. So, O glorious one, go to the pure queen. And Anasa is just a word that remains unchanged until today. Again, klenar e zal, which is siale, you have to see the previous videos about the aspirations and the zeta working as a sigma. Siale, send. Argi, that's an adverb, going to that verb. And argos, contrary to what is common in modern Greek, is the quick one. All right, that's where the ship Argo and the Argonauts comes from. The quick ship, Argo. So send as quickly as possible Oh, to the, again, pure queen. This is the idea. And then we have a third and last one, Etruscan script. Μία ραθία φέλα φες νας ιάμαθημαν. Me, to me. You see the monophthongization. Vela, velos is the arrow. That's a verb deriving from velos. He's throwing arrows. To me, he's throwing arrows. Who? Thea, the holy cars. Ara. Arathea. Agglutinative form. Ves, you know that verb again. Go. Nas, from the verb now, to the springs. Ziamathi, that's iamati with an aspiration form, which is here written as a zeta. Iama is, of course, a remedy or any kind of pharmaceutical substance. And then mane, fall in a trance, for in a maniac state. So go to the water springs, and with substances, by intaking substances, fall in a trance. That's what he's asking. That's the divinator. So do that to me and bring me an answer to the questions. Why is this holy curse hitting me? Why is everything going so wrong? And of course, he accepts not the recipient, but the one who wrote that. He accepts that he has wronged the gods, and now he's getting the consequences. If you remember in Homer, after the hubris of the Greek generals, Apollo is hitting the Greeks with veli again, with arrows that make them, of course, sick. So we don't only have Greek language, but we also have Greek culture coming everywhere from these scripts. And that's written on a golden, let's say, on a golden accessory. It was probably a divination for somebody who brought a big misfortune to his own city, and that's why he accepts it. And now he's asking whether he will be lucky enough to have the grace of the gods and the forgiving of the gods, or any kind of consequence that the gods will give for him. This is it. I would like to thank our kind photographers, Themis and Angelos, and until next time, I wish you all the best.